Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And today we are continuing with our sew along of Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe from Kimberbell. This is a large feature quilt that we have been working on since the beginning of September, and today is the day. Today is the last block that we are making for this quilt. So I'm so excited. In our next few classes, we will be taking everything that we've made now and start putting it all together. So I am a little behind on being prepared this morning, so I apologize in advance, but it's okay. I'm coming in my craft room. We are going to make this block together, and it is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to check the chat real quick. Good morning, Quilt Wench. I hope you are doing good. Let's see. I still have things I'm working on. This is the other dress form block that we did. I think in our last class we did the puffy foam dress form block, and now that was the second one. So let me grab my supplies. I got my instruclet booklet. So if this is your first time tuning in, this is what we're making. We have already made almost all of the blocks on this quilt with the exception of the one that is hiding right here, but we can see it more here. It's a very large block and it looks like a haunted quilt shop. And that's the block we're going to be making today. If this is your first time tuning in, I have other videos that start all the way at the beginning so you can see this process step by step, even with going over all the supplies and how I prepared for such a large project. And all the information for this sew along can be found on my website, carlybell.com. It should actually be the first link below this video. That you can go and check out the homepage with links for everything. And also on that page, you can download this free organizational chart for this project. It's going to help you keep everything in order, all the blocks, and tell you information about each one. So it's kind of like a very handy cheat sheet to keep next to you while you're doing this project. All right. Hi, Dee and Kim and Creative Collections. I hope y'all are all doing good this morning. So I've been a crazy person all morning, and didn't get all my ducks in a row for today's sew along because today is Amazon Prime Day. So Amazon Prime does a special sale twice a year, once in July and once in October. And the avid shopper that I am, I tend to go on there and look at everything crafting related. And what I did was I made a list of all of the best deals for crafters, and I put it on my website like 10 minutes ago. I finally finished, and I've been doing it since 6 o'clock this morning. So a few hours, but found some good deals. Not some things I was really hoping would be on sale were not on sale, unfortunately, but they do have some good deals. And depending on what you're looking for, this is a great time to stock up on stabilizer, bobbins, thread. If you wanted to try out a new tool, a new iron or heat press, tons of sublimation stuff. If you are already into sublimation or thinking about getting into it, lots of blanks. I found some things that I think will be good embroidery blanks. Lots of sewing machines on sale this time. Usually they only have like maybe one sewing machine on sale. They have a whole bunch, and one of them is pink. And I don't need a sewing machine, but I really want to buy it because it's pink. So let me show you real quick. My computer is doing this new thing where it does not like me to show my screen. It's going to look funny for a second, but let me switch you over to my desktop. So y'all should see, this is my website, carlybell.com, and this is the post I just made. So this is all about deals for crafters, and I have things organized here by like thread, stabilizer, machine embroidery supplies, including magnetic hoops, which was fun. I found some of those. Machines. So these are sewing machines, Cricut machines, laser machines, all the machines. No, I found some embroidery machines on sale, but I don't know if I would recommend those embroidery machines, so I did not list them. Sublimation, bunch of blanks, heat presses, including my little Cricut mini press is on sale. These are items that I think would make good blanks for embroidery. And then these are just like very general craft supplies, including the Aliso irons. I'm very tempted to buy these. Let's see what else. Like they have my rhinestone setter on sale. They have quilting rulers, electric scissors. I had requests to look up rotary blades and snap tools and pinking shears. So I posted yesterday in my Facebook group, like, what are y'all looking for? And so I went and looked for those things this morning. So these were some special request items, but all very helpful. Those, if you made bag tags with me back in August, those metal luggage tags are on sale. Those are in my cart. I'm gonna get some more of those. And then lots of organization stuff, like whether it be like a small piece of furniture, rolling carts, label makers. Someone requested storage for specifically ribbon, but this particular storage unit, you could put rolls of vinyl, you could put rolls of stabilizer, you could put ribbon. So I found this and that was on sale. And the other thing I wanted to show you, so that list is all there. And I have more things actually in my Amazon shop. So if you click right here, this will take you to my Amazon shop for the Prime Day deal. So you could see all the machines, all the sewing. This is the pink one. They also have a rainbow one I love. They have a heavy duty serger if you need a serger. All the cutting tools, rulers, rotating cutting mat, heat presses and irons, Cricut machines, batting, fabric, if you want some fabric just to play with, some blanks for embroidery. This is a big like craft storage center. I think it's almost like a it's not a dream box, but it's similar. Look, you see, that's pretty nice. So a very budget version of a dream box. Some faux leather. These are cute little craft carts for Cricuts and vinyl, but you could also put a small embroidery machine and stabilizer on there. This is my thread burning tool I love. And I wanted to show you the envelopes that I use for all these quilting projects. These are on sale. So if you haven't gotten these envelopes yet, you can go grab them while they're on sale. So you could just see here, I went through like literally everything I could think of and added to this list. So that is what I wanted to show you. And also on my website is everything, the homepage for this sew along, and you'll see that link right underneath this video. So yeah, lots of fun shopping this morning and adding things to my cart, but I have not checked out yet. I need to do that when we're done, but I'm still looking. I'm gonna find more things. So yeah, you can go check out that list on my website. I just emailed everyone that is on my email list to show them. And then throughout the day, I'm going to keep checking for things. Things are going to come to mind like, oh, I didn't look for this yet. And I'll be adding to that list. So you can keep checking back. And if you find a deal that I didn't post, please tell me so I can share it with everyone else. But they usually have some decent things. The thing I really wanted to buy, not crafting related, but craft room related, was a new camera. Really hoping they would put it on sale, but they did not. So I may wait for Black Friday and see if it goes on sale. I really wanted a new camera that looks down on my craft table. But anywho. All right. Yeah, solder. Diane says she likes the solder furniture. They had 2 solder pieces on sale, that big craft cabinet, and then like more like a console table that you could put a sewing machine in and like flips out like a sewing table, but it doesn't have any motorized things like the fancy sewing tables. But yeah, they make decent furniture, definitely. Okay, So today we are working on the quilt shop. This is our last block that we'll be making. From going back, we've gone through every single other block, and lots of blocks have multiples. So there was homework for almost every class that we did, where like there are 3 witches. We stitched one of them in the class and the other 2 were homework. So this is the time where we need to catch up on everything if you're doing this live with me. If not, the videos are always here for you. But I will be piecing all of our blocks together in our next class on Thursday, October 9th. Yes. So by all means, everything is recorded. You can go at your own pace, but that is the schedule that I'm keeping, and I have to be done by Thursday so we could piece everything together. But I saved the best for last, and that is the quilt shop. And this is the largest block on the quilt. It is 8 by 10. Now, if you have a machine that has an 8 by 12 or 9.5 by 14 hoop, you are going to be able to make this block just like we've made every other block on this quilt. Where if your largest hoop is 8 by 12, you're going to have to make that slight manipulation to the overall basting stitch, because remember, it's going to be 8.5 inches wide and your hoop is only 8 inches wide. So you can either totally skip that basting stitch to tack down your background fabric, or you can use embrilliance to squeeze just that basting stitch, nothing else, because we don't want to distort the size or anything, but just that basting stitch where it fits in your hoop, so that you can at least just tack down your background fabric. And then we remove that basting stitch when we're done anyway. So that's if your largest hoop is 8 by 12. If your largest hoop is 9.5 by 14, you are just going to proceed as normal. You're going to upload your background quilting, do that, and then upload the normal quilt shop design and stitch that out like an applique. What we're going to do in class today is show you how to make this very large block only using a 5 by 7 hoop. And so this is going to be a longer process because we are first going to add the background quilting, but still using a 5 by 7 hoop. So we're going to have to do multiple hoopings in order to get that whole piece of background fabric covered with the quilting design. Then once we have that background fabric quilted, we are going to stitch 2 hoopings of the actual applique quilt shop. And I'm going to show you Kimberbell's double hooping process. They already have the design split for you. It's super easy. I'm just remembering I did not locate my thumbtacks. I told y'all about thumbtacks. I did not find my thumbtacks. So I'll just have to use my not flat thumbtacks. But if you have flat thumbtacks and you're doing this 5 by 7 hoop method, they work a lot better. And that's going to help you for figuring out placement. So that's the special little Kimberbell trick they have for double hooping. You can also use pins too. Something to poke through from the bottom, preferably something that is flat. All right, so let's get started. First, I'm going to grab my envelope with my quilt shop material. Here we go. And I'm probably going to turn my iron on because I folded this fabric so that it would fit in this envelope, and I want to get that crease out. So this is my quilt shop. These are the clear, I don't know if I want to call them envelopes or folders. These are on Amazon Prime Day deal. If you haven't grabbed these, they're very helpful for organizing these large Kimberbell projects. So I make one for each block of the design. And let's see, I did not cut my batting yet. So this is my background fabric, already pre-cut to the size that was recommended in the cutting instructions, which is the final size is 8 by 10. So the cutting size is probably something like, where is this? 12.5 by 10.5. So they added like 2.5 inches on each side to make it bigger. So I got my pre-cut background fabric. I'm going to get this crease out, and I'm going to cut myself a piece of batting that is the final size of the block, which is 8 by 10. Yes. All right. And then we're going to talk about how we can use the clear blue tile method, or the cheater kind of method, to do multiple hoopings and have this whole thing quilted and look like we did it in one hooping, like we've done all of our other designs. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Linda. Hi, Becky. Hi, Wendy. I hope y'all are all doing good this morning. All right, Elsa had a question. I'd like to find a perfect machine to travel to classes. Mine are too heavy. So what machine do you currently have, Elsa? I say most people, for a travel embroidery or a travel embroidery sewing combo, I hear a lot of people like, now this may be heavier and bigger, but the 6 by 10 hoop machines. So a Brother NQ 1700E, and then that's the embroidery only version. I think the sewing embroidery combo is NQ3550W. I don't know. They got lots of numbers and letters, but it's this Brother 6 by 10 hoop machine, and it also is a sewing machine. Then what else? If that is too big and too heavy, because when we go to the website, I'm sure it'll tell us how much it weighs, then I would go the step down, which would be a 5 by 7 machine, which is like a PE 900 is the newest version, or the SE 2000 is the sewing embroidery. So both of those, their largest hoop is going to be 5 by 7, but both of them have a multi-positionable hoop option of 5 by 12. And then the SE is the sewing embroidery combo, so that will have all your sewing features. Linda is looking for my Amazon link. Let me copy this. Tell me if this works if I paste it in the chat. Tell me if it goes to both. It looks like it went to both Facebook and YouTube, so let me know if that works. Oh, it says an error occurred in Facebook. But Linda, you're on YouTube, so you should see it in the chat. That's my link to my website with all the Amazon Prime deals for today. All right, great. Okay, I forgot what I was saying. Let's see. Oh, the machines. So yeah, so Elsa, let us know what you have. Okay, you have a pace setter and the NQ 1700. So the NQ 1700 is too heavy for you, or is it that you want a combo machine so that you can have both? If you want something smaller and a combo, then I would do the SE 2000. That the largest hoop size is going to be 5 by 7, and it's going to have all your sewing features if you want a combo. Okie dokie. I am going to iron my pretty background fabric and get this crease out. So I have a nice iron. This iron is like 17 years old though, but it works. But I really have always wanted to try the Aliso. Am I saying that right? Aliso irons that like have the auto lift feature. And those are on sale on Prime Day, except I'm going to be extra because I really want the Tula Pink version. They have several. This iron is super cool. And they do collaborations with other businesses like Missouri Star Quilt Company, and Tula Pink is a fabric designer. And I'm sure they got a lot more that I'm missing. But the Tula Pink one is super cute. And it's hot pink and it has fish on it. I love it. and they have the regular size iron and the little mini iron. And I really want both of those. Those are not on sale. All right, that's that. Now I need to cut myself a piece of batting. Let's see. This ruler is not quite big enough, but we're going to get it started at least. I need 8 by 10. I could at least, can't even see the numbers on the craft table because I got so much stuff on it, on the thing. Okay. This is 10, this line. And I need 8 this way. So I'm going to at least use this line. Isn't that 10? Yep, that's 10. Okay, so there's my 8 by 10 piece of batting ready to go. They had batting on sale too, I saw on Amazon. Okay, so yeah, Elsa said the 1700 is too heavy and she'd like a combo. So yeah, I would say your step down combo would be the SE 2000. And then Baby Lock has an equivalent, but I think the Baby Lock one is more expensive than the Brother one. And they're pretty much identical machines. Oh no, Ronnie's telling me the Aliso, the lifts break down, not worth the money. Oh no. Well, thank you for that tip. Let's see. Ronnie, I hope you're recovering okay. Okay, Christine got the ones I want at the Road to California quilt show. They are so cute. And she likes the flashlight on the mini iron. Yay. Okay. So, all right, Marcia has the SE 2000. Do you like your machine? I have just the embroidery version. I have the PE 800, the older model, and embroidery only. But yeah, if I was doing a traveling, I know like my friend Carol, she wants a traveling machine. She's getting the 6 by 10 sewing embroidery combo, which I think is the NQ 3550. But I think the SE 2000 is a great travel option as well, because there's tons of stuff we can do, like this entire quilt and a 5 by 7 hoop. All right, so here is what comes next. Now, I think we're going to use some spray adhesive and we're going to put this together. In fact, I'm wondering if because we have to put the marks on the other side, but I want it to only be on here. It's okay if it goes off a little bit because we'll end up trimming it. Okay, so as long as we cover this piece here, but it's okay if it goes out a little bit. So this is what we need to pre-quilt, and we're going to use the clear blue tile method. And the background quilting is Halloween 2 8 by 10. So let me pull that up on my machine, on my computer, so I could look at it real quick. and then I'll show you guys. Kimberbell, Candy Corn, Quilting Bundles. And what is it? Halloween 2. Halloween 2. Embroidery files. So this is when, let me show y'all my computer. Okay, y'all should see my computer now. And see, I've clicked on Halloween 2 and embroidery files. This is where we have the 2 folders. Now, for every other block we've done for this quilt, we've done the block by block method. And like I said, for our friends that have larger hoops, 8 by 12, 9.5 by 14, you're still going to use this method. But for all of us doing the 5 by 7 hoop, we're going to choose the clear blue tiles and pick your format of choice. And that these are essentially the same thing, but they don't have the batting, placement stitch, and the background quilting basting stitch. None of that is happening. It's literally the quilting only. So what we need to do is figure out what combination of these sizes, when put right next to each other, will totally fill up our 8 by 10 area. So wait, let me change it here. All right, let me go back so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So for start, I'm going to use the clear blue tiles to figure this out, but then I'm going to show you my cheater method if you don't have clear blue tiles. And I think Kim at Kimberbell just did a whole video on clear blue tiles the other day on their channel. So if you are not familiar with them, go check out Kimberbell's YouTube page or Facebook page, and they should have some options for you. All right, so anything I pick still has to fit in the 5 by 7 hoop. So here are some that are, I got 4 by 4, 4 by 6, 4 by 8 will not fit. So, and we could just do simple math of if it's 8 by 10, then we could do 4 by 4, 4 by 4, that's 8 inches wide. And then 4 plus 6 is 10. So I could probably do this and this. And that's going to give me my quilting to cover up this whole thing. Yeah, I think that's our best bet. You could also, no matter what, it seems like we'd still have to do 4 hoopings if we're using a 5 by 7 hoop. Yeah. Because I don't have anything else is going to fit in there. Everything else is for the tiles are too big for the 5 by 7 hoop. So yeah, I think this is our best method. So now that I've determined this, I could either use my clear blue tiles to make marks to fill this in, and this is going to be done, like I said, in 4 hoopings, but it's going to go kind of fast. Or our other option now is to go back to our Embrilliance program, and I can open up 4 by 6. And I don't even know what hoop I have. This is 5 by 7. So that's how it's going to fit in that hoop. And I can also open up 4 by 4. And I can go to these. And let's see if my printer is on. File, print, print mode. Just going to print the first page. Yay, my printer's on. Okay. I'm going to print that one and the 4 by 4 one. File, print. Just print the first page, print. Okay, so Now, I think y'all should see my craft table again. Okay, so let me get my printouts. Now, when you print from Embrilliance, it's going to print true to size. So if I put this 4x6 tile over this, and I line it up with the crosshairs, it literally is the same thing. So, and there are marks. Now, there's no holes cut out, but there are marks. I got a crosshair, I got center marks on the top and bottom and sides. So what I can do is use my scissors. Now, the last time I did this, I think using scissors might give you a wonky if you're not great at cutting straight. So another option would be to use a ruler, and like this is my old rotary cutter that I use for vinyl and stuff, so I wouldn't use my paper one. But what I'm going to do is use my ruler and try to go just a smidge off of that line right there. Else I'm not over. I need to get over more. Okay, so I'm just a smidge past that line, and I will do the same thing. Make sure my ruler's straight using the lines on the printout. Also be helpful if I actually cut where I'm supposed to. All right. Okay, so you cut your printed out template, and now it is basically serving the same purpose as my clear blue tile. And what we will do, let me pick up this bag so it gets out of my way. I think I have one of those markers. I have this one, but I have Kimberbell. When you buy the clear blue tiles, they give you markers too. But use some kind of fabric marker that goes away. Like the ones, these are all water soluble. If you're using the printed template, you are going to put this right on top, and I'm lining it up with the edge of my batting right here is what I'm doing. And I'm going to use my marker to go mark the 4 side centers. I could even go and put marks on the corners if I wanted to, but we'll use that to line up the next one and make sure that center mark lines up with this center mark, and that these angle ones line up with here, and then we'll mark this one. And when it stitches out, it's going to look continuous. You're not going to be able to tell that that was 2 different hoopings of this design. And it's the same process for clear blue tiles. We'll do this, we'll mark it, and we have a nice center mark we can do with this one. What I do when I'm doing the paper version is I'll mark these 4 center spots, and once I take it off, I use my ruler to go and use those to line up and draw crosshairs in the middle. So like I said, it's my cheater version. Before I do this, I do want to use some spray adhesive. Let me get this right where I want it before I start making my markings. And if you want, you can definitely just go ahead and cut your batting to be bigger as well. And then when you're done with all your quilting, you can trim your batting from the back. So that's an option as well. I'm kind of using the batting placement to help me figure out my quilting placement. So I'll do one with clear blue tile, and I'll do another with the paper so we can see how they work. but I kind of can see my batting through my fabric and I can feel it. And I can use these two to see, yeah, it's all going to line up very nicely. So with the clear blue tile, you're doing a lot of marking. You got your center, crosshair, little dot in the middle. And you still do like the side center and the side corners. Everywhere they have a dark teal line on it, that's where you mark, and then where the cutouts are. And then lastly is this little box, which I always find is too small. So I'm going to write 4 by 4. There. That reminds me, I need to upload the 4 by 4 clear blue tile background quilting for that step. In case you're doing like a whole bunch of different sizes, you won't confuse yourself on what size was this again. And now I'm using this corner, center, and this corner to line up this tile. So I don't need to do this center one again. I could do this if I want. But the center mark is what I use on my actual hoop. This is, I'm trying to get my needle right there. Okay, so that's if you're doing clear blue tiles, you do that all around. If you did the paper, take your paper. I think I'm figuring out right where I want it. For me, I'm lining it up with this corner, but since I already have this, I'm lining up this too. And I'm going to do the same little side marks. And actually, I shouldn't do them up, and I should have them coming out, because that's what I'm going to need to align my ruler to. Okay. And then I'll do this corner and this corner. And I'll write 4 by 6 right there. And now, because I didn't have a cutout, I'm just going to use these side marks to make myself a center spot, so I know right where to put my needle when I'm hooping this. And so same thing. Yeah, I kind of really don't need to do many marks at all except these two sides. And then I could write 4 by 6. Okay, so now we have it all marked up and ready to actually do. Does this make sense to everyone that's doing the clear blue tile method or the cheater method? Let me know in the comments. Okay, now what do I need? I need my 5 by 7 hoop and then your stabilizer. I am using the lightweight cotton muslin stabilizer. Instead of poly mesh. Gotten to where I can't really tighten my hoops. I used to have, I think I could use this tool. I used to have this cute little metal flat circle, almost like a big quarter with a hole in it, and it had like a flathead screwdriver bit on it. So I'm just tightening this because I did a project the other day and my stuff was way too loose. So I want to make sure it's nice and tight in there. Now, something that will be helpful is the grid for this hoop, which I don't know where it is. Maybe it's in my basket. The grid for the hoop will be helpful to make placement marks on the stabilizer. If I were my 5x7 grid, where would I be? Thought I saw it in here. Nope, I found my 4x4 one, not my 5x7 one. Where are you hiding? Nope. It's supposed to be in this drawer with all my hoops for my Stellaire, but it is not. Let's see if I accidentally. Oh, I got one. This is for my. This is it. Maybe. This is for my NQ 1700, but it has the same hoops as the Stellaire. Yeah, so this works. All right, so this is my grid. I'm going to take my fabric. I got to do the blue side because the purple side like disappears super quick. I just put it in the little cutout holes. And then I use a ruler to draw crosshairs. There we go. So now I have a mark on here of where I want to line up the mark on my fabric. And I'm going to spray this so I got a little stickiness happening. And you can play around. Something I tried with this is lining up this fold with my ruler. And then, but then I'm not great at getting the horizontal center. Like, yeah, I got the vertical center, but not the horizontal one as much. But as long as you get it where it's not like crooked, you can move your needle so that it goes right there. But what I'm trying to do is just line it up on those marks that I got. Try to at least be straight this way. It's okay if I'm off center, as long as I'm straight. That's for machines that don't have two placement position. I don't know what they call 2-point positioning system. On my Stellaire, even if I hoop it crooked, I could use these points to line up exactly how I want the design to stitch out, so it'd still be straight. But if you have a smaller machine that doesn't have a 2-point positioning system, you just want to get your needle right in the center. So make sure this part is straight. Okay, so that is there. Now I need to plug my USB into my machine, into my computer. And we got to go save those 2 files. So I'm going to go to Brilliance and go to, this is the 4x4 one. So I'm going to go to File, Save Stitch File As, click my USB, and do Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe 4x4 background quilting. And then this one is Save Stitch File As, my USB, and Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe 4x6 background quilting. Save. And now I need to eject my USB stick. Okay, and now we can go over to the embroidery machine and plug that in. How is everybody following along? Let's see. And I check my organizational chart, and I'm using white thread for my background quilting. Okay, grab my USB stick. Microphone's still on. Plug that in. And I don't know what color thread I got on here. Black. And go to embroidery, my USB stick. Okay. I got bobbin thread, I got white thread. I am picking 4x6 background quilting. Okay. Set. And so it's literally only one step. It's just going to stitch the background quilting. We don't have all those basting and placement stitches and nothing like that. So I can go to embroider. And I'm going to turn on my little laser light. If you don't have a laser light, you could just put your needle down and look and see, does that needle enter right in your crosshairs? And mine does not. So I'm going to move my design over a smidge. There we go. Now it is right in the center of my little mark I made. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to lower my presser foot and stitch. And let it do its thing. Got a tail. Okay, let me cut this so it doesn't get caught up in something else. All right, so that's going to stitch. And when it's done, we're going to take it out the hoop. I'm going to cut off the stabilizer and move it over, and then we'll rehoop this section and stitch the same design. And when it's all done, we can wet this, or even a tied pin works really well to get these blue lines out like super quick without having to soak the whole piece of fabric. And we can even wait to get all these out until after we applique everything. I guess that would be a personal choice. I don't know if there's something that, you know, it's better to remove them before. I don't know. I guess the blue lines under the applique would still be there, but you could always still wet it from the back and make sure they come out. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. All right. Okay, Loretta did the same thing. She did the 4x6 twice, left to right, and 2 4x4s on the bottom. That's what I did. Yep. I will try and do this. Have not used tiles yet. Yay for the demo. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, Linda. Thank you, Becky. Okay, so all that's making sense to everyone, whether you actually have the clear blue tile pack or you don't. As long as you have embroidery soft. Well, okay, so here's your two options. If you have embroidery software, super easy to print out. If you don't have embroidery software, one trick you can do to make yourself a cheap tile is to just stitch the background quilting on some cutaway stabilizer. So stitch it on cutaway stabilizer alone and then cut it, and now you have a template to use like a tile. The only thing is that the crosshairs wouldn't be on it, but there are crosshair stitch outs that you can, I think Kimberbell gives away for free, where you just, when you put your hoop in, it will stitch out the crosshair, which is the center of your hoop. Oh goodness, my whole thing of fabric on my printer next to my sewing machine just fell. Yay. Okay. Is that it? Yep. All right. So we're going to take this off. And we're going to go hoop and do the other sides, but I'm not sure. You can see that stitching. And now we'll do the same thing right here. Oh, my mouse is not cooperating. There we go. Okay, so we do have to unhoop. And you are going to trim and it's probably best we go ahead at least trim this, right? Because now we will rehoop the stabilizer. Okay, and use the grid to make our marks again. And draw your crosshairs. Spray with some temporary spray adhesive. And now I am going to center this side. With the marks on my stabilizer versus the marks on my background fabric. And now we'll go right back to the machine and we're going to stitch the same design again, the same 4x6 design, but I'm going to check my needle and see if it's where I want it to be. Not quite, so I'm going to go to layout, move. That looks good. Okay. And lower my presser foot and stitch. And then we'll just repeat this with the 4x4 design at the bottom. And this only takes 3 minutes to stitch. So 6 minutes, and then these are probably 2 minutes. So probably 10 minutes total to do all your background quilting pre-done. Yeah, that's a great point. You can stitch out the crosshairs in the center prior to cutting out your template. Yes. All right, no worries, Joe. Oh, it's cold by you? We're in fake fall right now in Louisiana. What's the temperature outside? I bet that's what I'll watch on today. Let's see. The weather app tells me it is 86 degrees, but it feels like 96. So yeah, we're not even close to being fall down here. Okay, Loretta, I have to shrink 2 parts of the shop to fit in the 5x7 multi-hoop, right? Because you have a 4x4 machine. Any suggestions for making sure they will match up? So if you're in Brilliance, what I would do is look at the percentage that you are reducing the size. So let's open up in Brilliance and let's go open up our quilt shop. Go back. This is the designs. That's the double hoop instructions, but we need the double hoop here. So this is it. And these are the 2 pieces of the quilt shop. So what I would do for your exception, because her largest hoop is actually 4x4, but she can use a 4x6 multi-positionable hoop, which is this one. This is splitting it in two. Okay, so now I can see her hoop size. That's her biggest hoop versus the design. And what you can do is click it and watch these numbers right here. And so I'm going to hold the shift key and size it down to where it, yeah. I saw this red bit go away, and so like, okay, now I know it fits. 78.2%. Now go to this one. This one fits. That's where it's I see your struggle. So what I said, 72.6, enter. So now you have reduced both pieces by the same percentage. Now it should line up. You might want to do a test stitch with some like other fabric to make sure you like the way it looks before you stitch it on your good fabric if you only have a little bit for your quilt. But that's what you can try. Let me know if that helps. Okay, so we are done stitching that one. Now we are gonna go rehoop and do the 4x4. But what you can see is it's not super obvious that there's a line here where there were two hoopings. That's the look we're going for. It's supposed to look like it's just continuous and you can't tell where one stopped and one started. And we'll do the same thing for these little ones. Okay. So again, out of the hoop. So I'm just going ahead and trimming all this excess away. All right. So back to another starting point. And if your largest hoop is 6x10, you may be able to get away with just like 2 hoopings of background quilting. So just play around with the sizes. If you have the clear blue tiles, or if you don't, just play with it in Embrilliance, putting different sizes together and see how they stitch out for you, if they cover the whole background fabric. Oh, good, Loretta. I'm glad that helped you. Yeah, the percentage feature is nice. I teach all about that in my Embrilliance class, my online course that I made. I go over like all the features of Embrilliance in it, and that's one of the things we talk about is the percentage and resizing. And like I like to watch that percentage when I resize, because depending on the quality of the digitizing, sometimes designs get messed up when you resize them too much. But I know Kimberbell has excellent digitizing, so I wouldn't be too worried about it, but I would still do a test run with some old fabric to see if they line up like I am thinking that they should, right? Like I think that is how it should work, but I may be wrong. So test it out. Okay. Getting that as centered as I can. And now we're going to go load the 4x4 design on the machine. So I'm going to go back to home, back to my USB stick. 4x4 background quilting, set, embroider. Okay, get that out of the way. Turn on my laser. I'm gonna move this over a smidge. There we go. It's right where I want it now. Lower and stitch. It looks great. You're really not going to be able to tell at all. Yes, I definitely love this tip, Loretta. So if you are having to split an applique design like she is, which doesn't always work out the way you hope it do. So have patience with this process. But one of the things is like you split an applique design. So you're splitting the placement stitch. So if you can, hook up your multi-positionable hoop, you know, in the top position and stitch out the placement stitch for the applique. Then take that design off, put on the second of the split design, move your multi-positionable hoop to that space and go finish stitching that placement stitch. That's going to hold all your fabric in place on both the top and the bottom. But like she says, it's going to help them to line up better. Yeah, definitely recommend what you're saying. See, y'all talking about the weather. I'm excited because we're going to Nashville next week. And we looked at the weather forecast and it's supposed to be like in the 70s and 40s. And we're like, yay, real fall. And I will be going around to quilt shops in Nashville on the first couple days that I'm there. So I'm excited about that. So hopefully I'll have some good pictures to show y'all, or a little video. So if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'll probably be posting to my stories whenever I go to a quilt shop. All right, we're done with this. And now we're on the last one. So we have a little bit of waste of stabilizer. I probably could have used a 4x4 hoop for this instead of the 5x7. That would help not waste stabilizer, but I am on a roll. So I'm just going to keep going. Placement marks, spray with some temporary adhesive, And then I'm going to try and line this up. Yep, that looks good. And go back to the machine to do the last bit of quilting. And again, for this one, we're doing that same design. And I'm going to check my placement because I probably got to move it a smidge. There we go, right where I want it. Okay, lower, stitch. 2 minutes, and we will be done with this portion and then move on to the quilt shop. So while this is stitching, I'm going to take my USB stick and go load the 2 pieces of the quilt shop like we just showed for Loretta's, but I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to adjust the size on mine since, let's see, let me go back and make it 100%. And do the so here you can see I went back and clicked on the design and changed it back to 100%, and I changed my hoop to 5x7, and everything fits in it. I'm gonna go to this one. Is it selected? Yeah, select, and go back and change this to 100%. Okay, and now it's fitting in my hoop. So let's look at the steps. So I think, let me go to the instruction. Oh no, I need to go to the double hooping instructions. This one. Okay, I think we stitch the bottom of the house first. Yeah, we stitch the bottom of the house first. So let's look at that. So the first, no, that's the top of the house. We want the bottom of the house. Okay, first step, we stitch this on the stabilizer, and this is going to help us line up our fabric. And then once we have our fabric in place, we do this basting stitch. So we could do that with my water-soluble thread. Then that's the applique for the bottom of the house, tack down, applique for the window, tack down, applique for the door, tack down. And then we have some finishing satin stitch, decorative stitches. I like the little pinwheel on the door, that's cute. And then the last stitch are placement marks to help us when we stitch the top of the house. So anywho, that's the bottom. This is the top. And I'm going to save those to my USB stick. So Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe, bottom shop. And then I'll save this one as Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe, top shop. Okay, so now I'll have those on my USB stick. But let's look at this. We need to get our now quilted background fabric. I am going to trim the stabilizer off. Okay. So this is when I'm happy that I'm using this inexpensive option. because I would have been a lot more careful if I was using my poly mesh for these steps to make sure I wasted as little stabilizer as possible. So this is the background fabric, now all quilted, and you really can't tell that it was done in multiple hoopings at all. It's very cute. All right, if I want to remove these lines, I can do it now. And the tide pin's going to be my fastest option, so I'm going to use that because I am in a little bit of a hurry. When I did my nephew's quilt and I used clear blue tiles to quilt the whole thing, I just waited until it was all done and I threw it in the washing machine. And that got all these marks off. So if you're doing a larger project that you can wash, you don't have to worry about removing all these marks. Okay, so now we got all the marks out and you can really see the quilting and it's pretty. All right, so the instructions say wrong side of fabric. So we're going to fold it in half, right sides together. And then we're going to fold up the bottom 1 inch. So let's go back to the craft table. And so I've taken it, I fold it in half like this. And I need to do a little bit better job of folding my corners lined up. And some things might have got pulled in from quilting, but we have that interfacing on there, so it's supposed to help. And I do this, I line this up, so this is 1 inch. Can y'all see that? Let me do it further up here. Okay, so I'm lining this up on this line. I'm going to put my ruler on the line, inch line above. I'm kind of doing this. So this is just finger press, maybe even have some clips to clip it, but this is your pre-work that you do, because we're going to go back to just hooping stabilizer and we're going to stitch a placement mark, and that placement mark is going to show us right where to put our fabric. Okay, so I have this and folded, and what it's going to do, it's going to stitch a line and then a little tick mark up, and we are going to line up that tick mark and that bottom line like an L, and then we will unfold this and stick it. So what I think I'll do is I'll go stitch that placement mark first, come back to the table, spray this with spray adhesive, and then put this into place and make sure and rub it down good. Okay, so let's go back to the machine, and I need to load the design. Go home, plug that in. All right, Candy Corn Quilt Shop bottom. Shop. Oh, actually, it's this way. Okay. So load that, not moving anything. And let me do it in a brighter color, not white, so we can really see that placement mark. I'm gonna do it in the lime green. Okay. Stitch the placement mark. All right, and take this out, and I see my placement mark. And now we just got to go line this up on there. All right, can y'all, I did it in a bright color and you still can't see it. Can y'all see that placement mark? Maybe I should have did it in black. It's right here, and the little tick line going up is right here. So now I'm going to spray this. And I'm going to double check my instructions while I'm doing this. I guess it doesn't matter what side. They have it as doing this side, but I'm going to do this side. All right, so I got the bottom of my, y'all are seeing this, right? Let me make sure. Okay, the bottom of my fold line lining up with that placement mark, and that little tick that comes up, that is with this fold line. So essentially what I would do is take my clips, fold that down, and fold this out. And now everything should be where it is supposed to be. And it's going to stitch the bottom half of the quilt shop here. And then when we rehoop, it'll stitch the top half of the quilt shop there. So the next step is a basting stitch. And so I'm going to go put this back on the machine, and I'm going to load my water soluble thread, and that's going to hold that fabric down into place. And I can remove that later. Oops. Okay, and now we'll do this basting stitch, kind of holding our fabric where it needs to be. And it is okay that this basting stitch is kind of cutting into my background fabric, but that is because the bottom of this house is not very wide, so it doesn't take up the whole hoop. The basting stitch is made to fit the bottom of the house, not the hoop. So if it doesn't look right, don't freak out. Okay, done with the water soluble thread. And now we got a bunch of applique to do. So I'm going to look at my instructions on page 21 and see what color is the first actual stitch. Oh wait, no, I don't need this one. I need the double hoop instructions, which are on my computer. Let me print this out real quick so I can have it by my machine. I was about to say, I thought it wasn't going to print. I'm like, you just printed a minute ago. All right, it's taken, I guess because it's color, it's taken a while. Let's see. The first actual stitch we're going to see is purple. So I'm going to do all of my applique steps in purple. Boom. I like the least amount of thread changes as possible. So here's my double hoop instructions. So it's got the thread color here, and you notice these are little white boxes with just lines. That means color doesn't matter. When you get to here, the first color is the house satin outline. That is in purple. So I'll just do all these steps in purple. And then when I get to my first real satin stitch step, I'm ready to go. All right, so lower and go. And this, now I gotta go get my envelope with my fabrics. Let's see, Patty, I got the water-soluble thread off of Amazon, and it is in the supply list for the homepage on my website for this sew along. Okay. So the bottom of the house is this purple fabric. So I'm going to do this. And now it will tack that down. And then the window, then the door. And the nice thing about this is this purple bit does not need to be perfectly trimmed to move on to the next step. So I'm going to do the applique for the house, then the applique for the window, then the applique for the door, and then take it all off and trim everything. So looks like this yellow, a big piece for a little window. Oh, it says subcut the window fabric and vinyl. I'm glad I read that. So I need to cut this in half. So what I could do is, watch, you'll see. I won't cut it in half, but I'm going to make sure I place it where it's only stitching one half. So now it's stitching the placement stitch for the window. I don't need to trim this in order to move on to the window. So I'm going to save myself taking the hoop on and off and on and off. All right, so I see my window. And I'm just going, the window goes to right here. So you see I'm just covering up right past the placement stitch where it's only going to use a small portion of this fabric. And then I'll be able to use the rest for the window on top. And I do have it to where it's not in the way of the door. So if I put fabric over here, then yes, I would have to trim it before I did the door. But because I put it off to that side, I could move on to the placement and tack down stitch for the door. It won't be in the way. All right, this little black piece is for the door. And we'll stitch the placement stitch. And there is some clear vinyl in the embellishment kit that we're going to put on top of the window. So I have to go get that out. All right, so there's my placement stitch for the door. And now I'm going to cover that up. Yep, all covered up good. More than enough room. And now it will applique the door into place. Then we will take it off and trim everything. And I will go find the vinyl. We've got to do some satin stitches though before we do the vinyl. Okay, for the finish. Okay, take this off, go trim these 3 pieces of applique, and then we'll come back. All right, so scissors. I love the tweezer applique scissors. These are also linked in the supply list. You can get it from Amazon. The Havells brand is good, or Kimberbell makes a beautiful scissor set that includes a pair of scissors like these, the tweezer like. So I have all this now. I'm gonna save this for the top bit of applique on the top of the house or quilt shop. Okay, now the door. Trim that, and then the house. So you see how I stacked those appliques? Nothing was in the way of one another. So to me, that makes trimming a little more efficient. That we trimmed 3 pieces at one time. That doesn't always work out though. Some pieces of applique are underneath or right next to another one, and you need those to be trimmed and fixed before you can move on to the next piece. So just look at your design and see, you know, how you think how it's gonna stitch out. Look ahead and if it's needed or not. Okay, so we're done with this, and now we'll go back to the machine, and it's gonna stitch some purple satin stitching on the side of the quilt shop. So let's get that going. And then when it's done with that, it's going to stitch some orange stitching on the window. Which orange are we doing? Are we doing the goldy color? This might actually be this color. Or it could be my light orange color. Did I make a light orange color for this project? There. Okay, this color. Let me look at the book and you can see up close this red color. Okay, the window looks yellow, and then the door looks the more orangey color. All right. For that stitching, I'm going to get my embellishment kit and find the clear vinyl in my embellishment kit. Clear, so I can't find it. It's not foam. These are the little fabrics for the mini quilt buttons. Maybe it's in here. And I think we need more of this black faux leather for the top half of the house. Clear vinyl. I found you. You were hiding. A piece of mylar and a piece of clear. There we go. Clear vinyl. So this is also a step where they want you to cut. If you're doing the double hooping, you're gonna trim this piece in half, but I'll do the same thing I did with the yellow fabric and just put it right over the section it needs to trim. There is purple glitter stuck to my vinyl because it was on top of the pretty purple organza. Let's see if I would need to change my sticky sheet because it is not sticky anymore. There we go. Oh, too sticky now. Yikes. Oh, it's gonna stick to my book. Okay, let me do this over the cutting table so it doesn't tear nothing. See. I'm just trying to get the glitter off of here. Not that glitter hurts anything, that's for sure. Okay, that's good. And I will have this ready for this step. A couple more steps from now, we'll need this. All right, so we're done with purple. Now it's going to do the yellow outline around the window. And then just a lot of glitter on here. Okay. When it is done with the satin outline for the window, then we are going to place the vinyl completely covering the window and stitch the vinyl tack down and window detail, and that is done in black. So put black on the thread stand and be ready for that. Then we trim the vinyl. Then we stitch the window ledge with the dark gray. Line my colors up. And then the porch railing with white, and the door outline with white, and then another white, and then the light orange. And then the dark gray again for the foundation, and then back to black. So those are the only colors I need. I got all that ready. Okay, let's check the comments. Angela, great question. Does my embrollient class teach how to delete jump stitches? Yes, we have a whole lesson on how to remove jump stitches if your machine doesn't automatically cut them, or you just have some sort of weird jump in the design that you want to remove. You can do it with essentials, and I have a whole lesson to teach you how in the course. Okay, so we're going to switch over to black thread now. But before I actually move on to the step, we are going to find the clear vinyl that I am already losing, and I am going to place it right on top of the window. I'm going to hold it way over here where my finger is not close and let it pack down. and it's going to do a little detail. I like these little fun details of adding something kind of clear but shiny in the windows to make them look real. I'm also looking at, notice how the vinyl was not added before the satin stitch, because if you've made the shaker bag tags with me, you know that sometimes the satin stitch can rip the vinyl, like perforate it so much that it tears away. This vinyl is all done with a bean stitch, and I really like that. And a lot of those bag tags that Applique Alley does actually has that decorative bean stitch right in the middle of the satin at the end. Maybe we can use that step to tag down our vinyl instead of trying to put it before the satin stitch. That would be something to experiment with and see. So let's go trim this. So then you wouldn't have to worry about what gauge vinyl you bought and if it's going to tear. Okay, so now we are going to trim this vinyl. Right by the stitch line. Just be careful you don't nick those yellow satin stitches underneath. Okay, and then notice I still got plenty of vinyl left for the window that's going to be up top. All right, back to the machine. And what is next? Next we need gray. And it's going to do the window ledge. So it's going to do a gray satin on the bottom of the window. And then after the gray, it's got a lot, like 3 steps that are white. So I'm going to get my white thread on the thread stand ready to go. And the white stitching is 10 minutes. So it'll be a bit, and I'll go check all the questions while that's stitching. Oh, let's see. I thought the top of the quilt shop is using the black faux leather, but it's actually using the black glitter HTV. And go pull that out of the embellishment kit. So I think the roof is going to have a glitter HTV. Put that with my stash. And like this. All right, the windowsill is done. Now we will do a few steps of white, including like the railing and the door frame and the window, like the little window on the door. Okay. Oh, lower. Go. All right, so that's 10 minutes of stitching, and I will go check the comments. But when all this white is done, Then we'll do my light orange color. So I'm going to get that ready on the thread stand. Oh, Terry. Oh, thanks for reminding me. So, y'all know Kimberbell has deal of the week. They literally get me every time. And this week's deal of the week is the Cup of Cheer Advent Quilt, which I've seen it, but I did not have it on my list. However, it is now on my list because I bought it yesterday. Let me show you my computer real quick. All right, so Kimberbell's website, deal of the week. This guy right here. So this is the Cup of Cheer Advent Quilt. They have the embellishment kit on sale and the background quilting. So you can get all three of these things. And look how cute. I've seen this quilt, but I didn't really look at it good. Each block is a number, like on an advent calendar, and they actually have spots to put little treats and such. So I could put some things in there for the kids to go and grab every day during Christmas. I love this wreath. That is so pretty. But look how cute this is. So this is a large quilt. Look, there's a zipper in this present and you could put something in there. How cute is that? They have little bells. This is some of the bonus projects. Oh, I like how you can put the peppermint. That's so cute. So yeah, once I started looking at it, I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. So yeah, this is on sale. This is now on my sew along list, but definitely not till next year. So the next project we're doing is the Candy Cane Lane, which was on sale last week. So I think I'm just going to not look next week when they have the sale so that I'm not tempted to buy anything else. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that Cup of Cheer Advent Quilt. I did buy it. I do plan on doing a sew along for it next year. I also found the fabric kit for this quilt on Etsy yesterday, and I bought it just so that I have everything. So when I'm ready to actually do it, I'll have it. The fabric kit looks like it's a little more rare to find. So when I started searching yesterday, and I did not see, but only 2 shops had it for sale on Etsy, and I did a general Google search of quilt shops, and I didn't see options, so I just went ahead and bought it so that I would have it and it would be ready to go. But yes, that is on my list for next year. Oh, awesome. Yay. So Cindy and Terry bought it. Linda, I am as addicted as you. Yep, Denise bought it too. Yeah, don't look next Monday. I was like, everybody, let's just not look at Kimberbell's deal of the week next week. Just don't even look. Don't tell nobody. Sherry's got it in her cart. I love Quilt Witch. She's like, lies, you'll look. The problem is, and this is what got me last week, was I got an email. I'm on Kimberbell's email list. And when I got an email and the subject line of the email was candy cane, sweet something. I don't know. It didn't say Candy Cane Lane, but it implied candy cane. And I was like, oh, it's going to go. It must be on sale this week. And that's when I clicked it. And I was like, yay. So that's what happened last week. I actually had already bought Candy Cane Lane over the summer. I already had it planned to be my next sew along after this Halloween quilt is over. So I was like, yay, now I could tell everyone they could go grab it on sale too. But one thing I didn't have was the quilting bundle. I did not buy that yet. And I was like, oh, good, that's on sale. I'll buy it. So I had it in my cart all week. And excuse me. And I was like, I need to check out. And you know, Monday morning rolls around. I was like, oh no, I never checked out my Candy Cane Lane quilting bundle while it was on sale. However, Kimberbell on Monday morning, they'll still have last week's sales. And then sometimes they start to put the new sales. The new sales are supposed to be up Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's 11 a.m. for me in Central Time. So I went on Monday morning just to go buy the Candy Cane Lane background quilting. And that's when I saw Cup of Cheer was on sale this week. And so I put it all in my cart. I was still able to get my Candy Cane Lane quilting on sale. But then I added the Cup of Cheer while it was there. Okay, we did the porch railing. Now, keeping white on, there's 3 steps of white, but your machine is still going to stop the way that it's digitized. So now it's going to do the door frame. But yeah, that's my excuse for this week. I didn't purposely go look to see what was on sale. I was really going to buy the one thing I needed last week. So I'm not going to look next week unless they send me a very enticing email with something in the title that's like, ooh, I want to do that. But for those of y'all that are keeping up with the sew along, so right now we are doing Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe. When this is over, we're doing Candy Cane Lane. I don't have a schedule for that, and I actually just found out I got to move things. I don't know what I'm doing yet because so Elise has to have surgery to take her tonsils out. We had her surgery scheduled the Friday before Thanksgiving. So I was like, okay, I can start Candy Cane Lane and I can have my holiday workshop all before Elise has surgery. However, I got a call last Friday evening that the doctor can no longer do Elise's surgery on that Friday. And now I have to choose between November, like the first Friday in November or the first Friday in December. So I'm waiting to hear back from her teachers, but I think I'm going to pick the first Friday in November just so that she has time to recover. And hopefully, you know, she'll feel all good and better by Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything. So that's happening now. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I'm definitely not having my holiday workshop the week I was originally planning because now that's the week immediately after her surgery and I'll need to take care of her. So now I think I'm going to do my holiday workshop the week before Thanksgiving. But worst case scenario, we'll have it the week after Thanksgiving. Either way, it's going to be before Christmas. I like to have it in November so we got time to make things. Because all the projects for my Sip and Stitch holiday workshop are usually giftable that you can make as little gifts. So everything's up in the air right now. So I want to do Candy Cane Lane. I don't know when. So it's all going to depend on Elise and have to schedule this holiday workshop. Like that is at the top of my to-do list right now. And then we'll fit in Candy Cane Lane in between there. So that's sew along. That'll be the last sew along for this year. Then next year, I want to do the Quilting Through the Seasons ladder quilt, which I've already bought and it was on sale a couple weeks ago. Again, deal of the week got me. So I told y'all about it. If you missed it, I'm sorry. If I find it on sale again, I will tell you. But I have plans on doing that early next year. That is all going to depend on, I'm supposed to be releasing a new course at the beginning of next year. So I may have to see how that goes. So course has to come before sew along. I don't know if I could do both at the same time. That's what I got to figure out. It depends on how much of my course I get pre-made before I start letting people sign up for it. But Quilting Through the Seasons is going to be the first sew along of 2026. Then what else I have? I have mini quilts. I still have the bonus projects from Oh So Delightful I wanted to make. I still need to finish my Main Street Celebration bench pillow. That's a 4th of July themed bench pillow. Want to get that done before 4th of July. I have spring showers, but I may put that on the back burner because I have to pick fabrics for it. I didn't buy the fabric kit. And then we'll do Cup of Cheer. What we might do next year is actually start Cup of Cheer in like September, so that we really have it done well before Christmas and could display it. I think that's going to be my goal with Cup of Cheer. Okay, next color is a little orange that they're going to do a little pinwheel design on top of this white block right here. Okay, and then after that, we go back to gray. Or something. The foundation of the house is gray. And then after that is the registration marks, which could be in any color. They're saying black, so I guess you see them well. Okay, we are almost done with the first half of the quilt shop. Sorry, I had to take a sip of coffee. And I really want to find my thumbtacks that I swear I bought specifically for these kinds of projects that I have no clue where I put, because we are about to need them. Okay, dark gray. And that's our foundation. All right, so that's just a big satin line there. And then I'll probably just keep the dark gray on and do the registration marks up here. And then we'll take it out the hoop and rehoop stabilizer, stitch the placement lines, and we'll use the registration marks to line everything up. So while this is stitching, I'm going to continue to look for the thumbtacks that I swore I had. I think I even used them. Oh, you know what I just did find? My little circle thing. Found something good. This was that piece I was telling you I was looking for earlier that works great to tighten the screw on the hoop. And I found this one too. This is a little tool that kind of does something similar. Yay. I had them in a little jar on my table. I need to actually have them on the machines. Like I use them mostly on my multi-needle free arm machine. So I'm gonna go put them on each one of those tables where they're out in the open and I can see them. Okay, let me keep digging and see what else I could find in my little junk trays I have on my table that collect things. No, not paper clips. That won't work. Yeah, Linda's talking about the Stellaire. I absolutely love my Stellaire. The Stellaire is a beautiful machine for literally everything except baby onesies. Then I don't like it. But I don't like any flatbed machine for baby onesies. But everything else, that's my go-to machine. Anything that's flat, I'm doing it on there. Unless I'm teaching, of course, for another machine. But like all these sew-alongs, it's going to be almost still there. Okay, that's clear. We're going to need that. Carly bought bobby pins. Where would she put them? I found them. Yay! I knew I bought them. They were in my drawer right in front of me. These thumbtacks, the flat ones. Let's see. This is kind of taped shut. These are helpful. Now I don't feel crazy. I love when I don't feel crazy. This is what we need for this project. Ta-da. Okay. Back to the machine. We have one last step, and that is the registration mark. Do it in a contrasting thread so that you can see them. I think dark gray is good enough for me. You could do it in black as well. But it's literally just going to stitch like 2 little L's, and they're kind of that wide, long stitch length. So you can take them out after. Okay. So we're going to take this out. Those are our registration marks. We're going to unhoop this, rehoop new stabilizer. I don't know if I have enough of this one. Let's see. No, that is not wide enough. That's okay. Let me go get another piece. I'm going to cut myself another strip. It's clear vinyl. Don't want to cut that on accident. So this is the 2-yard piece of muslin from Walmart. And what did I do last time? I think I did it on this end. And I just folded it like this. And I cut 12 inches. Let's see. This line is 12. Just had the rotary cutter in front of me. There it is. Okay. Now I have a nice strip of stabilizer to do another row of hoopings with. "12 inches makes it just tall enough to fit a 5x7 hoop up and down. The 12 inches also works great for 6x10 hoops this way." So that's what I've been cutting at. And I go back and forth between using a 5x7 hoop and a 6x10 hoop for this project, at least. All right. So now we're going to go to the machine, and it's going to stitch registration marks. And we're going to use those registration marks and the thumbtacks to figure out exactly where to hoop float this so that the top of the house stitches right perfectly in place. Okay, so I'm gonna load this. Keep the dark gray on because that works good to see. And I'm gonna go back to my USB stick. And find the top of the house here. Set, border, lower my press foot, and stitch those registration marks. And then we'll do that basting stitch once we have it in place. So I'm going to get my water soluble thread ready for when we baste it down. Okay. Now let's go figure out how to put this on. Okay, so this is our registration marks. It's stitched on the stabilizer. That is the first step of the top of the quilt shop. Notice we have literally the same stitches on the bottom. Now, what you're going to do is turn your hoop over, and if you have the little pressing pad, which I got this from Reen at Embroidery Garden. She designed these, and I think Dime actually makes them. But they fit perfectly in a 5x7 hoop so that when I'm pressing on here, I got a nice stable surface underneath. So if you have that, it may be helpful. It's not required, but I just want to try using it. Okay, we're going to turn it upside down. We can see the bobbin, the back of the stitches of that registration mark. We are going to take our thumbtacks, preferably with the flat back, and right where the corner is of that L that it's stitched, that's where we're putting our thumbtack. And I'm going to poke it through. Okay. Maybe actually having the pressing pad underneath is not helpful because I can't poke my thing through it. Okay. So now you should see my thumbtack poking up. Can y'all see that? It's coming up right in the corner of those L's. Okay. And now I can lay it flat on my craft table here. And because the bottom of these, this is where having the flat back thumbtacks are very helpful. Because when you try doing it with these, you have all this space, you know, underneath. So flat is better. The first time I did it where I didn't have anything other than pins, I used just a little ball-headed pin, and I poked it up from underneath, and that kind of worked. But this works the best. Okay, so those are poking up right in the corner. Place the part 1 background fabric block right side up, aligning the 2 registration marks corners with the thumbtacks, and then push the fabric over it. So we're kind of doing the same thing. We are, now that this is on a nice hard surface and we can push, we are going to line up the corner of this registration mark and make the thumbtack go right through. And it may be hard because we pre-quilted our fabric, so it's a bit thick. And I'm just kind of playing with right where it could be without actually seeing. I think that's a good spot. Let's see. It's hard. let's see, what I might need to do is pre-make some holes for myself because my fabric's so thick. Let me do this. There we go. So I made myself a hole there. And without poking your finger. Made myself a hole there. Okay, so that should help this now. There we go. Right in. Right in. This is right where this should lay on this hoop. Does that make sense to everybody? So because I have those thumbtacks, so sorry, this is blurry now. This is why I need a new camera. Those thumbtacks are poking up now right in those corners. So it started with the stabilizer, come up through the stabilizer, and now it's also coming up through our background fabric that's already pre-quilted and already has the bottom half of the design. That is there. And now this is right where it needs to be. So I could go ahead and spray this, rub it down. We're still going to go do a basting stitch, but now we can remove the thumbtacks because this is in place. Okay. So this is ready to go now. We can go back to the machine and it'll do the basting stitch and then we'll stitch all the house. It should go right there. Let me see. Push fabric over thumbtacks. Carefully smooth out the background fabric. Remove the thumbtacks and return to the machine. It's not telling me I need to take these out. I guess I could take those out after. Okay, let's go. So your thumbtacks are not there holding it in place, so you want to make sure you're careful with loading this back on the machine and make sure it doesn't shift. That's why I added the spray adhesive, just to double check that it stays. And I am loading my water soluble thread for that basting stitch. Okay, everything looks good. And the basting stitch only goes at sides and the top. It doesn't go across the bottom. Everything's nice and smooth. And that is good. Okay, what is next? Now we have a bunch of applique steps. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last time and figure out what thread color is actually the first one I'm going to see, and it's black. So let me load black thread. And it's going to stitch the placement for the roof. And this is when I am, nope, I'm not using that yet. I'm using the fabric, this fabric. Oh, look at that. That line went perfect over this line. I mean, perfect. I love it. Look, it meets it right there. Awesome. Okay. So this is the roof. Oh, the little dormers are in the black glitter. Okay. So this is your roof fabric. I'm going to put this right into place. Now this has a squiggly line. I do want to make sure that they go across straight. So I want to make sure when I put it down, it's going to look straight going across. Okay. And now we are packing this down. And it looks like it is important for us to trim this step before moving on to the dormer appliques, at least the top part. So just the top part actually. So I'll just trim the top part. Okay. So instead of taking it off the hoop and trimming the whole thing right now, I'm just going to trim this top very quickly while it's still on here. And it's going to next do the placement stitch for the dormers, and the dormers are the black glitter HTV. So black glitter HTV is going to come with a clear carrier sheet on top. It is important that you remove this clear carrier sheet before you lay it down and stitch it. But you can use this material just like any other thing for applique. So first I need to see how big a piece I need. That is, yeah, that's more than wide enough. You'll probably just go in this whole bit. Let me cut this with my old scissors. Okay, so this should be more than big enough. Peel off this clear carrier sheet. This is sticky. This works great to pick up all the loose threads on your table. That's what I do with it when I'm done with it. I'm like, what can I pick up with that? Okay. Now we will lay this right on top of that placement stitch. And you could tape this, you could hold it with a stiletto. It's not as like stay in place as fabric, but it doesn't really move that much. When it's little tiny pieces, I find sometimes they move. Just the vibration of the machine when it first starts, it might move and get out of where you need it to be. But these larger pieces are usually no problem. So you can use a stiletto or go ahead and tape it before you start to make sure it doesn't shift before it starts stitching. I'm going to leave that there, catch all my loose thread. Okay, I'm going to go turn my little mini iron on because we are going to activate the adhesive on the back of this glitter HTV. HTV stands for heat transfer vinyl. So it's already got adhesive on the back of it. Once we trim it, we'll activate it by just putting the iron right there. Okay, now we'll take this off. There is another applique piece, but I want to get this trimmed and adhered before we put the yellow pieces of the window on top of it. Okay, sometimes with glitter HTV, you can tear it and it'll tear right on the stitch line. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it makes me too nervous and I just end up trimming it. So that's what I'm gonna do, just to be safe. especially for a project where I don't have any more of this fabric to remake it if I do mess it up. I got more glitter HTV though, so I probably could save it. Okay, so now that that is trimmed, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this too, and then y'all will see how beautifully that whole placement mark worked for us. Because this stitch line right here was perfectly aligned with the top stitch line of the purple. And then even if you don't have it quite perfect, there's going to be a wide satin stitch here that is going to hide, that could possibly hide if you had a gap there or something. But look how pretty that is. That worked out very nice. Now, did I turn on the mini iron? Of course I didn't. Okay. Let that warm up for a second, and I'm just going to use some of my fabric here as a kind of like a pressing cloth. You can press right on top of it. Usually with heat transfer vinyl, our first step is that the carrier sheet is still there when you use it with a cutting machine. And you press on top the carrier sheet, but I always end up using some sort of non-stick Teflon paper on my heat press. So I'm gonna do the same with my iron when we're sewing with it. But this little iron is on sale right now with Amazon Prime Day deals. It's Cricut. It has 3 heat settings. It has auto shut off, which is the most important thing in my opinion, because I have definitely left an iron on for 3 days. Previously, my little mini iron, my other little travel mini iron that did not have an auto shut off. So this is a nice little iron to have, and it fits even in the smallest little hoops, like 4x4 hoops. And I haven't tested it on the tiniest hoop because I never use that hoop, but it's great for in the hoop applique work. Because I normally always add Heat and Bond Light on the back of my applique pieces, so I'm always ironing in the hoop. Okay, this is done. Let's go back to the machine. And now we have another piece. We have the windows, and so it's going to be like the bottom where we have a yellow bit, and then we'll have the vinyl on top. So, oh, I gotta lock my thing. Okay, everything's out the way. I'm doing this in black. I probably should be doing this. Oh wait, I see a nest happening. Let me do this. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of crud happening here. And I will go ahead and use this opportunity to put on a different color that I'm going to see better. Okay, let me just back up a couple stitches it had. Tail. I don't know why it has this jump stitch here, but they're really long stitches, so they'll be easy to pull out. Okay, and these are little tiny bits of the window within the dormer that we're going to use the same yellow fabric. Let's see, that's probably not wide enough, but this is. This is definitely. If I I'm going to lay this right on top of those placement stitches, and then we'll tack that down. I don't know, I don't see anything about the clear vinyl yet. After this step is a lot of black stitching, so let me go ahead and put my black thread on my thread stand. All right, so I'm just going to trim this right here. It looks like it'll be pretty easy. Okay, that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and try and get out this jump stitch too. Yeah, got it. Okay. And try not to mix up my scissors because I keep one that's kind of dull on my machine, and that's what I'm always cutting my threads with. But my sharp ones are my applique ones. I keep those usually on my table. Okay, black thread. We got a pole coming up. Then we have a sign placement line and the sign leather, which I think is white leather, so I need to go find that in my embellishment kit. Okay, white leather. So this is the white leather. Okay, so now placement stitch for this. Then it's going to stitch out the wording on the sign, which is Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe. And this is going to be a bean stitch applique. There's no SVG provided for it, and whatever color you use for thread for the tack down stitch will be visible. That is the tack down and the final stitch are the same combined into one. So they're saying in black, so I'm going to do this in black, and this will tack it down, and then I will trim it. I'm just checking the comments. I see people talking about the Stella Air. S&P has good deals. If you ever are interested in buying a new machine, please contact my friend Jean at S&P. She is the only person that takes my referrals. So you call her and you tell her Carly Bell sent you, and she will help you get the best deal and apply my discount to your purchase. So if you're ever interested, just give her a call. She'll give you your options. She'll tell you pricing, how low she can go with it. I do know for a fact that if you don't finance, they can take a little bit off the price. That's what I did for my Persona. Now that was 5 years ago. I hope that's still the case. But because I didn't finance my Persona and I paid cash, well, I didn't pay cash, put it on my credit card, but I paid off my credit card. I got a little bit off, like several hundred off, which was good. Saved me some money. Okay, this you can trim however you want. You can trim this close to the stitch line, or you can trim this, you know, a little bit away from the stitch line. But I love Kimberbell's faux leather. It really cuts like butter. Very nice. Okay, so that is our little white leather sign y'all can see I trimmed. And now the next few steps are all having to do with that sign, some decorative stitching and some wording. Okay, continuing with black. And then we're going to use both color oranges. I think the white is first and then the dark. So I'm going to use the light orange. Linda's saying she's glad she got the fabric kit. The black and white pieces were from a 5-inch charm pack and would not work. Yes, this is what the lesson I have learned from buying Kimberbell products. I will not make it unless I got the fabric kit. I will leave it in my to-do pile and be like, oh, I'm gonna pick fabrics for it. I'm gonna get around to it, and I don't. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna finish spring showers because I don't have the fabric kit for it, and I know how much time it's going to take me to pick out all the fabrics. But that is me. You may be different, and more power to you if you are good at picking out fabrics and can get by, because the fabric kits are expensive. And I'm learning that very much. Don't worry. Retha's saying all she's got done so far is cutting out the fabric. That is perfectly fine, honey. You do this when you have time. I'm literally going to have this up like the day before Halloween. So it is fine. We're going to show it off next year. So whenever you have time. And Linda's like, you're ahead of where you were. At least you got fabric cut. I mean, that's a big step. That's an overwhelming step for a lot of people that they don't even start, is cutting all that fabric and interfacing it and organizing it. That's a huge hurdle to go over, and you got there. So now you're ready for the easy parts. Yeah, Linda, let me find. She's looking for a cup of cheer fabric kit because she's like me, and she's not going to do it unless she buys a fabric kit. Let me look at my orders, purchases. Okay, I bought it from this Etsy shop. What is it? Shop Sew Me. They have the machine embroidery CD, which that is on sale on Kimberbell, half that price. The embellishment kit is half that price on Kimberbell. So buy those on Kimberbell. The fabric and backing kit is very expensive. So about $150. I think it was $170 after tax. So this quilt is going to be a huge investment for me, but it is going to be gorgeous, and it's going to get passed down to my kids and grandkids, and this is what I keep telling myself to justify this purchase. But that's where I found the thread kit. Not the thread kit, the fabric kit. I bought it yesterday, and I think it's already I think I got a notification it was shipped already. And this is actually a quilt shop in Louisiana, but they're on the other side of the state. I wish they were closer so that I could go there. Okay, loading my light orange thread, and then dark orange, then back to black, then white, then we'll go back and forth. We got a few more stitches here. Oh, there's a mylar section. We're putting mylar over. Okay, I need to go find the piece of mylar in the quilt and the embellishment kit. Okay, found it. So if you're not familiar with mylar, it's basically cellophane or party bag. Like people make baskets and stuff with cellophane. You can find it in the party section at Hobby Lobby and Walmart and Michael's. I've seen it at Michael's. I've seen it in rolls. I've seen it in sheets. I've seen it in different colors. So this is a typical iridescent one. But I've seen it with like tinted red, tinted blue, tinted green. You could have a lot of fun with mylar. I did not realize mylar was in this project. So we did the sign, stitch the candy corn now, then we'll stitch the sign swirl, then we'll stitch the candy corn stems, then we'll stitch mylar placement line, which I don't think is necessary because it's basically over the whole sign. So I'll probably skip that step. Okay, now what are we doing? We're doing dark orange. Okay. Okay, now we switch to black for some stitches that are supposed to be the stems, I think, of some flowers. And then white after this step. White ready. Oh, the mylar goes in the flowers, not over the sun. And then you stitch on top the mylar with like a sketch stitch, and it will hold it in place. And then when the flowers are all done stitching, then we tear away the mylar. Okay, I see now. So I'll stitch the placement stitch now that I realize it's not over the sign, it's over where the flowers are going to be. Okay, so I'm gonna do it in white. You want to do this placement stitch in white because you will see it probably after. But it's basically going to stitch a flower outline on top of these stems, and then that tells us right where to put the mylar. It's raining. And probably going to want some tape to hold this down for this particular piece because it might shift. Yes, Denise, she bought the same fabric quit. Okay, yeah, I didn't. You bought it directly from the website. Awesome. Okay, I didn't even look to see if she had a real website. I bought it from her Etsy shop. Let's see, Becky says, I always have those thoughts about passing down too, but am thinking they better learn to sew because what's going to be passed down will probably be patterns and fabric. Yes. I think Elise is gonna she shows more interest in crafting and patterns. It's in fabric and all of that. She shows interest. And I took her to some sewing classes this summer at a local quilt shop in New Orleans. And she had a lot of fun. And her new thing now is she got this cute little teddy bear from the mall the other day. And it's one of those teddy bears that's like weighted and you can put it in the microwave and it warms up. So it's like great when like the kids have a bellyache and stuff. It's very sweet. And he's just a little brown bear and he kind of looks like Paddington. And so she wants to make him the blue coat and the red hat. And I was telling her, I was like, I probably can find a pattern and we can sew that. So that is on our project list. But I've really only ever sewn one piece of clothing. It came out gorgeous though, if I do say so myself. I sewed a doll dress and like an American Girl doll sized dress right when the pandemic, I think, started. That's the only garment I've ever sewn. And I think I could figure out how to use a pattern and how to work it, but the same local quilt shop, she's having a class, I want to say this week or next week, on how to read a pattern. And I'm kind of tempted to go to it just because I'm sure I'm going to learn things that I maybe didn't realize I needed to know when it comes to garment sewing and stuff. So we'll see. Probably should have had this over more. Let's see. I don't want it to sew through most of the tape. I taped the mylar down. Probably right at the edge of where it needed to be. Okay. That should be good. All right, that is done. Now we're going to go to the dark orange and then the light orange. And it's going to make little flower petals that look like candy corn. And yeah, the stitching is like almost like cross stitch or sketch, so that you're going to see the iridescence of the mylar through the stitching when it's all done. It's pouring outside. Okay, let that stitch. Let me check. Okay, India, hi. Let's see, Denise has a question too. Aretha has the same problem as me. She really needs to stop looking at Kimberbell weekly deals. Okay. Oh. I heard something weird. Are you okay? It didn't cut. That's okay. I'm gonna make sure this is okay, and then I'll go back and look at those questions. Yeah, it cut that one. Okay. All right. Denise's question. Do you use SF101 on the whole fabric kit piece or just the fabric portion you cut? I use it on the fabric portion I cut. So, for instance, here's our instruction book. Here is the picture of the fabric cut guide. So what I do is I look at, I see all the pieces I need, but I'll cut one big piece of SF101 that will cover all of this. And I'll make it like a 1/2 inch bigger, wider, and a 1/2 inch longer so that it'll cover like from here, probably all the way to the edge on this one. But like on here, oops, it would go, like right above this block all the way over to this block. So this would be the only section that had interfacing on it that I didn't actually use and as part of my scraps, but I want the interfacing to go to the edge. So I would just cut one big piece of interfacing and cover most of where all my cuts are going to be. And then I would go and make my cuts. That's what I did this time around. The first time I did it, I did all my cuts and then I cut my interfacing, and that was way too much work. So I liked it by adding a big piece of interfacing, not necessarily to the whole bit of fabric, but to the area I know I was going to cut. Okay, now I'm putting on light orange. And then black, and we'll go back to black. And then we remove the mylar after the black. This is so cute. Okay. After we remove the mylar, we still have some outline satin stitching to do. Let's see. Oh, and we have a part with vinyl. Yeah, we're going to do vinyl over the yellow-orange windows. Okay, yeah, so I still need the clear vinyl. Put it over here so I don't lose it. Okay, other question. Hi. Okay, so India. Stabilizer. When you float your design, what stabilizer you use on top of when you're doing a sweatshirt? Also, do you use medium weight fusible stabilizer on the bottom? Yeah. So for a sweatshirt, depending on the density of the design, if it's not a super dense design, you can do fusible no-show cutaway, which is a lightweight cutaway. You can do 1 to 2 layers of that depending on the density of the design. Lately, I've been using just medium weight cutaway for sweatshirts. because then I don't have to worry about, is my design too dense or not? I know the stabilizer will help it and maintain it. And I will use either a magnetic hoop to make sure nothing shifts, or I'll temporary spray adhesive on my cutaway and spread my sweatshirt out on it nicely. But yes, a water soluble topper is great on a sweatshirt, especially if you have any satin stitching. It's going to help keep the edges of those satin columns nice and crisp, and keep them from sinking into the sweatshirt. It never hurts to add topper. When in doubt, just go ahead and add it. It won't hurt anything. Okay. Retha asks, does anyone have a good source to buy SF-101? I live in the middle of nowhere. I used to buy from Joann's. The last time I bought it, I think was from Walmart, but it got shipped to my house. Let me go look at my page for this Sew Along and see where I put. You can buy it off of Amazon, but I want to say it is cheaper. Yeah, I think I put Amazon. I want to say I got it at Walmart for cheaper, and I just ordered it too. Let me look at my order history and see how much I got it for. But I bought like a 10-yard bolt of it, so it lasts a long time. And I want to say it was like $39. Okay, black is this last step before we rip the Mylar off. This is just going to do a nice little outline around these stitches. And I see some jump stitches. I'll probably go and cut later. All right, I'm going to look at my Walmart past orders and see. I feel like I got it like no more than 2 months ago. Ooh, Walmart has deals today too. Don't need to look. I don't need to look. Okay, purchase history. Nope, apparently I didn't get it from Walmart. I got batting from Walmart. Oh wait, I did. No, this must have been the first time I ordered. This is April. It's not telling me the date, but I think that's not this year. I think that was, oh, that might have been right before I started Oh So Delightful. But I paid $41 that time. I'll have to think about, where did I get it last time? Must have been Amazon. Okay, let's see. Okay, stitched candy corn flower outline and tear away excess mylar, then stitch the center fill. Okay, so we're just, you pretty much just tear this like tear away. Let's go to the craft table so you can see better. All right, so this is the mylar, and maybe in between the petals it might give you a little bit of trouble, but you can use a tweezer. But it really pulls right away. And because these two pieces were far apart, you could cut this and still have a good piece of mylar for another project. Okay, so Where are my tweezers? Here. You see like right here, that's when you can kind of use a tweezer and get in between those pieces of candy corn and rip them. But that's good. And now go back to the machine and it's going to do a little black thinner dot. Okay. And then we're going to switch to the goldy yellow, the windows. After these little dots are done. And then that's when we are going to use our vinyl again. I am starving. What time is it? Oh, goodness, it's 1:30. My stepmom called me before today's class. It was like, I was getting ready, like I was rushing and getting ready for today's class. And she's like, call me when are you going to be done with your class? I need your help with something. I'm like, oh, probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. It is 1:30. We are not done. I knew this was going to be a long one, but geez, very long. Okay, yellow. Stitch the yellow satin outline. Then we will add the clear vinyl. I got a little tail. Okay, get out the way. No, stay. Okay. Yeah, I should go text her and tell her I'm not forgetting about her. I am still working. I'm going to check my Amazon purchase history and see if I bought my last order from them. Yes, September of 2025. I bought it from Amazon. I got, it's $50. I bought 20 inches by 10 yard bolt. This is Pellon SF101 Shape Flex. This is what the interfacing I iron on the back of all of the pieces of fabric for this quilt. Right now it is nearly $50. Let's go look. How much did I get it for? Because I don't remember it being that expensive. When I bought it, it was $39. So keep an eye on it. It should go down in price. I don't know why it's $10 more right now. Okay, that was for Shape Flex. Okay. Oh, Christine has a good tip for the pinwheel blocks. The pinwheel blocks, I think that was the first blocks we made. They were very bulky for me because I had Shape Flex on the back of them. Christine's suggestion is she sewed the blocks first with no interfacing on the back, just the fabric. And then she added the SF101 and joined the blocks, and that made it much less bulky. Thank you, Christine. Okay, so now we can add the vinyl, and we're going to go back to black thread. And it's going to do just like it did on the bottom window, where it's going to go around and tack it down and maybe do the little cross in the middle. Okay, so I got my vinyl. That's cutting it too close. Let's do it here. Okay. I got a tail. It's now getting in the way of the middle. Okay. Okay, after this, we trim the vinyl, and then we need gray. So I'm going to get gray ready. My black is nesting again. It should still be able to finish. No, I can see. Is it nested up there? I can't tell. Let me cut. So right here looks bad here. Okay. Let me pull. Okay, maybe it's just me. And let me back up a couple stitches. Okay, other tail got in the way. Fix that, and then let's just trim this vinyl right here real quick. Okay, so now our little windows have clear vinyl on the front. Give it that nice effect. I love all these little details that Kimberbell does is what I adore, and all the projects that I make from them. Okay, now we're going to switch to that dark gray thread, and it's going to do the window ledges. And I think we just have a few finishing stitches on here, and we are done. We're going to literally be doing this until Elise gets off the bus. Okay. Window ledge, roof detail, roof outline, dormer. So 3 more steps after this. But one of them is a long satin stitch going around the whole outer part of the roof. black. Oh. It's going to do a detail on the roof here. Then we'll go back to gray and then purple. Okay. Crystal says, has anyone bought the fabric kit for quilting through the seasons? Yes. I bought it off of Etsy. And I'll show you where I bought it from. The quilt shop was named Calico Cats Sewing. Let's see. Oh, apparently they don't have it anymore because when I click on it, it doesn't. It takes me to their homepage and not the product itself. Let's see. Goodness, everything's fallen. They have the embroidery design, but oh, here we go. They have a bundle with the design, the fabric, and the embellishment kit. They have that. Here, let me put y'all on my desktop. So they have it, Etsy, Calico Cat Sewing. They have the bundle that includes the fabric kit, but they don't have just the fabric kit anymore. Maybe message them and ask them if you could just buy the fabric kit because they're showing the CD and the bundle, but not the fabric kit. And that's where I bought mine from. Okay. We are done. Okay, so now here comes that long. We got 7 minutes of stitching the gray satin outline around the roof. Okay, let that go. Yeah, I would, who was that? Ask Crystal. I would message Calico Cats Sewing on Etsy and ask them if it's possible to buy just the fabric kit. India. So it is called water soluble, fusible, no-show cutaway stabilizer. Okay, so we're talking about several different stabilizers, India, for your sweatshirt. The first is going to be the stabilizer that's going to go on the back of your sweatshirt. That's actually serving as stabilizer. And if you're floating your sweatshirt, this is what you're hooping. You have, I would say, 2 options. A lightweight cutaway that is called no-show. In this case, it doesn't matter if it's fusible or not because you are hooping it and floating. If for some reason you wanted to do 2 layers of no-show cutaway, just to make sure you have enough stabilization because it is a lightweight one, you could hoop one of them and the second layer actually iron to the back of the sweatshirt. That's one option for you. The other option would be to hoop a normal medium weight cutaway and then spray it with adhesive. You do this no matter what your stabilizer you're using when you're floating. You're going to spray temporary spray adhesive on the stabilizer in the hoop, and then float your sweatshirt on top, and the stickiness will help everything kind of stay in place. So that is your stabilizer behind the sweatshirt. Water soluble topper is something you put on top of the sweatshirt. Once you have it all hooped and ready, lay it on top, just like we laid that Mylar. You lay it right on top. You can tape it around the edges if you want so it doesn't shift. Stitch your design, and when you're done, tear it away. And that is going to help all your satin stitches look nice and crisp. Okay, I just replaced the bobbin because I ran out. And I went ahead and backed up 20 stitches so that where I cut earlier and where I start now overlap. So kind of locking those stitches in. Okay, India, let me know if that makes sense. Oh, no problem, Retha. Yeah, but I would watch it on Amazon because, like I said, it's $10 more today than it was when I bought it in September. Yeah, it's the same price at Walmart right now, Quilt Winch is saying. I wonder this too, Joe. I wonder if Michael's is gonna start having some carrying pill on and having some good deals on it. We'll have to check it out. I haven't been to my Michael's yet to see if they changed up and have like a fabric section now. Ooh, Linda, she got the bag like I got. The Kimberbell bag for blue tiles, etc. came in. Got it for half price at Prairie Quilt. And they only had one left when I bought it. Oh, it came from Oklahoma. That is so nice. That I love my bag. It really helps me keep everything organized as far as all my clear blue tiles and my orange pop rulers and my quilting rulers. I love it. Happy Christmas to me. Mine was my birthday present earlier this year that my husband didn't know he bought me. Ooh, Joe is saying, so what is this coupon for? Is this for Michael's? Let me know. Oh, she said that's Michael's right now for 20. So it's $78.99 and then 40% off the flash price. So what's 40% off of 78.99 times? Wait, no. Clear out the thing first. 78.99 times 0.4 is $31 in savings. So it'd be $47. It still ends up being about the same price as Walmart. Oh, muslin is on Prime Deal. I think I saw it, Denise, but I didn't add it to my list because it's still cheaper at Walmart. At Walmart, you can get the 2-yard piece for $5. And I think this was 10 yards and it was still like almost $40. So it's still cheaper at Walmart. So I didn't add it to my Prime Deal list. But if you don't have it at your local Walmart, then it's a good deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah, shipping. Once you add shipping to the Pellon, it makes it over $60. So, yeah, you still do better with Amazon. Ooh, Becky said she looked and she found one more of those Kimberbell bags. I hope they do have it. I hope you get it, Becky. All right, bye, Patty. Okay, Betty, was this, which fabric kit are you talking about here? The Quilting Through the Seasons, I'm guessing? Right. Same here. Linda's saying with the Kimberbell bag, she doesn't travel, but it's good to get. Same here. Like I don't travel with all my sewing stuff, but it's just helping me keep it organized and having a place to put it in my room. Yeah, and Becky, even if you don't use it for clear blue tiles and orange pop rollers, there's so many other things you could put in there. Um, okay. So let that stitch. But while that's stitching, let me show you the bag that they're talking about in case you're not familiar with it. I don't know how well it's going to show up if my camera can. Yeah, it only picks up like a quarter of it. So this is the bag. Let me hold it up here. Okay. This is the bag. So you see it's really large. It's beautiful, like nylon fabric quilted with the K. And it has a zipper all the way around. And it has these handles, and then it has like a strap if you wanted to wear it as a strap. And when you open it, without me losing everything in it, it has one side for pins and USB sticks. It has a pocket to put instructions, like if you have printed instructions, you can put them in there. And then this now has, how can I do this? I'm using my hip. A lot of little folders that have openings on both sides in various sizes. And then this side has pockets that I put my rulers in, so you could see all of that. So for the clear blue tiles, it has, smaller sections for the smaller ones, and then larger sections, like as you go, you could put the largest ones. And I have the whole clear blue tiles regular set and the first expansion set that is helpful for my Stellaire. They have a second expansion set that is, if you have a luminaire, they have even larger tiles for that 10 by 16 hoop. And now that we have the Avenir, I don't know if they'll come out with bigger ones. I saw somebody that has an Avenir post. They wish Dime would make the giant magnetic hoop for the Avenir to make quilting easier. Okay, this is purple satin stitch for the dormers. And then oh, that's it. After this, we're done. And this is a 3-minute stitch. Okay. Oh, Betty. So yes, so Betty got the Quilting Through the Seasons fabric pack from, I lost it. Let me go back. Sewing Studio LLC. Let me look it up. Sewing Studio LLC. I want to say that, is that the one that, is it in Illinois? They got the Sewing Studio Fabric Superstore. That's the one that I see Parker on the porch maybe always posts about. Sewing Studio LLC. This one looks like it's in Illinois. That might be different. Now let me look up Quilting Through the Seasons on their website and see if it comes up, and I'll show y'all if it does. No, let's just look up Kimberbell. Okay, they got Kimberbell fabric. Let me do. Sorry, I am looking. Ha, found it. Okay, let me show y'all my computer. Okay, the website is hudsonsewingstudio.com. hudsonsewingstudio.com. I went to shop online and search, and I typed in quilting through the seasons. For some reason, this search bar up here wasn't working for me. That's why I was having trouble. And now I see this quilting through the seasons fabric kit. I will go ahead and copy this link and put it in the comments of the chat box. I think it'll work on YouTube. I don't know if it's going to work on Facebook, but I'm putting that in there now. So hopefully you see it. All right, we are done stitching finally. Okay. And we have a gorgeous Quilt Shoppe 8x10 block that we did all in 5x7 hoops. So I think that's pretty cool. It looks good. Okay, so we're going to unhoop this. And I am going to turn my iron on. And if you trim the rest of this. Okay, and we need to remove some stitches. So let me get this here. All right, so I hope today's class really helped to show you that there are some amazing things that you can do with 5x7 hoop. Even these larger projects that, you know, come with these double hooping designs and instructions, especially Kimberbell, they make it to where you can do it in a 5x7 hoop. It definitely takes more work. This was a lot more work than just hooping one time and doing all the background quilting and design at one go. But until you get that Stellaire, you can still make these things. All right, we got these little basting registration mark here. I'm trying to get out. I think those are a little harder. And then let me go ahead and start wetting. Where's my basting, the original basting stitch. And I see where this satin stitch pulled right here a little bit. I got a little wrinkle. Okay. Let that basting stitch dissolve, but I still see I got this wrinkle down here. Y'all see this? It kind of pulled when it was doing this satin column. So I'll try to iron that the best I can, but I'm gonna have a little wrinkle there. Okay, I need to get these stitches out. which is a little bit tedious. Okay, this I can stop there because this is hidden by the roof. This should come out. It should come out, but I don't want to. I'll have to play with that some more. All right, and I'll get this one out after just to get to the final point here because I'm running out of time. And oh wait, so I wet the front, but now we can pull out the bobbin on the back of the basting. This one I'm gonna have to cut because it does go behind this roof line here. Okay. Got all the bobbin out of those basting stitches. And really the only spot we got to be careful of that clear vinyl in the windows and the faux leather on the top sign. And the Mylar too, probably. So. And my bottom's going to be a little wrinkly. I didn't even notice that happened. Okay, so let's try to smooth that out as best you can. And now we're going to use the orange pop ruler. And I'm going to use the giant one, 8 by 10, or 8.5 by 10.5. That is going to be our cut size. I'm going to do my rotating cutting mat. Turn this on its back side, and I don't know. Let's look. There may be some cutting instructions. Okay, square finished block, dimensional banner, and fabric bolts and button will be added after quilting is complete. So this one, it might actually be better for me to line up from the front because it's not like all the other blocks we've done. So I'm looking at like where my quilting stops on the top and the bottom. Something like that. And like this line is straight with this one, but because this got a little crooked, so let's see. Okay, try not to overthink it. That looks good. Hold this down. And then do each side. Okay. And usually I do a better job. Let's see. Got some little stray, barely holding on pieces. Okay. So there we go. We are done with the last block, the largest block, the Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe itself. Look how cute. So we got that faux leather. We got mylar. We got glitter HTV. We got clear vinyl in the windows. And then we did this in 2 hoopings. You can't even tell. All I have left is just to go remove that registration mark right there. And there's a little spot here I'm still trying to get at. But that is all. All right, let me go check the comments. I missed a bunch. Okay. Yay, Denise said she also bought the Kimberbell bag. I got mine from Anne the Grand. Was that it? Someone told me about it, and there was a sale like on all Kimberbell things on that website, so I was able to get it for like $99 versus the normal price I think is $130. So if you can get it less than $130, you're doing good. Yay. All right, I'm just checking the comments. Quote Wench is like, I know I have some orange pop rulers somewhere. You like me with the thumbtacks. They are there. They're somewhere. Just keep looking. You'll find them. Yes, you should look for them. All right. Yay, yay. Okay, glad y'all like it. So this is our final block. Now I have to go catch up on all of our homework. And in our next class, which is this Thursday at 10:30 a.m., we are going to be piecing together all of the blocks for the quilt minus the borders. So we're going to piece everything together. Then next Tuesday is October 14th. We're going to go over how to stitch to quilt the borders on your machine. So I'm just going to like quilt some of the inner border and some of the outer border. And then your homework will be to finish those borders and possibly also stitch the border onto your now pieced together quilt, because I don't think we'll have time to do that all together. But hopefully piecing together the quilt will give you the confidence to be able to add on those borders with no problem. Then next week I'm going to Nashville, so I won't be here for the Thursday class, and I'll come back the following Tuesday, and that's when we'll add the backing and do stitch in the ditch. Then we'll have a class just for binding, and then the last class will be the embellishments. We have to actually embroider some in the hoop elements of the embellishments, and then go and hand sew them to the finished quilt when we're done. So, whew, we're almost there. We still got a lot left to do though. So I'm excited. I'm going to go finish my homework now because y'all know I'm not finished. But if you are not finished your homework, that is perfectly fine. You could go and piece it together whenever you want. But that is for today. Thank you for staying for this super duper extra long class, but I think it was worth it because look how pretty it is. All in a 5x7 hoop. And I will see y'all on Thursday. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.